This is Swiftlet, a Taylor Swift podcast with a literary twist. Today's episode is about the most recent and exciting news in Swiftyland, Taylor finally owning her back catalog. As always, I am your host, Peyton Edwards. On Friday, May 30th, Swift broke the news that she had finally retained ownership of her first 6 albums and all of the other work she had released during her time with Big Machine Records through a simple photo shoot and letter posted on her website. Swifties met this news with joy and quickly dubbed this day Swiftie Independence Day. So, how did we get to this moment that many of us had hoped for but never thought would happen? A trip down memory lane. When Swift started her career, she signed with the fledgling label Big Machine Records, founded by former Universal Music executive Scott Borchetta. On the label, Swift released 6 studio albums: Taylor Swift, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, and Reputation, from 2006 to 2017. Swift's contract with the label ended in November in 2018, and she had a choice: re-sign with Big Machine or sign elsewhere. An article released in August of 2018 by Variety titled "Taylor Swift Stands to Make Music Business History as a Free Agent" speculated what Swift might do come that fall and included this key bit of information in the piece. Quote, "But key to the future business of Taylor Swift Inc. is ownership of her master recordings. Swift will almost certainly keep the rights to her masters in her next deal, but it's no secret that, like a lot of superstars, she'd like to negotiate to own her previous albums, which currently remain in the hands of Big Machine. Failing to reach a deal to keep her on the label would have no small impact. Big Machine has derived as much as 80% of its revenue from Swift's music in recent years," says a person with knowledge of the business. The label declined comment, as did Swift's camp. End quote. Little did fans and the world know that this subject would be one at the center of Swift's career in the coming years. On November 19th, 2018, Swift took to Instagram to share the news of her decision. She wrote, quote, "I'm ecstatic to announce that my musical home will be Republic Records and the Universal Music Group. Over the years, Sir Lucian Grange and Monty Lipman have been such incredible partners. It's so thrilling to me that they and the UMG team will be my label family moving forward. It's also incredibly exciting to know that I'll own all of my master recordings that I make from now on. It's really important to me to see eye to eye with a label regarding the future of our industry. I feel so motivated by new opportunities created by the streaming world and the ever-changing landscape of our industry. I also feel strongly that streaming was founded on and continues to thrive based on the magic created by artists, writers, and producers. There was one condition that meant more to me than any other deal point. As part of my new contract with Universal Music Group, I asked that any sale of their Spotify shares result in a distribution of money to their artists, non-recoupable. They have generously agreed to this at what they believe will be much better terms than paid out previously by other major labels. I see this as a sign that we are headed towards positive change for creators, a goal I'm never going to stop trying to help achieve in whatever ways I can. I'm so happy to have Sir Lucian Grange as a partner in these efforts. I want to express my heartfelt thanks to Scott Borchetta for believing in me as a 14-year-old and for guiding me through over a decade of work that I will always be so proud of. I'm extremely grateful to get to do what I love, especially with the people I've been fortunate enough to work with. The best thing I've been lucky enough to receive is the dedication, trust, and loyalty of the fans who have cared about the words and melodies I've written. My biggest goal moving forward is to make you proud. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show you what I'm making next. Love, Taylor." End quote. On June 13th, 2019, Swift revealed the title and release date for her forthcoming 7th studio album, Lover, dropping August 23rd, 2019. On June 30th, 2019, news broke that Scott Borchetta had sold Big Machine Records along with Swift's back catalog to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings for over $300 million. Swift took to her Tumblr account to address the news in a post. She uploaded a screenshot of a photo posted by Justin Bieber that was a picture of him on FaceTime with a few people, which he captioned, "Taylor Swift, what up?" Swift wrote of the photo, quote, "This is Scooter Braun bullying me on social media when I was at my lowest point. He's about to own all the music I've ever made." End quote. Her post is as follows, quote, "For years I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my work. Instead, I was given an opportunity to sign back up to Big Machine Records and earn one album back at a time, one for every new one I turned in. I walked away because I knew once I signed that contract, Scott Borchetta would sell the label, thereby selling me and my future. I had to make the excruciating choice to leave behind my past. Music I wrote on my bedroom floor and videos I dreamed up and paid for from the money I earned playing in bars, then clubs, then arenas, then stadiums. Some fun facts about today's news. I learned about Scooter Braun's purchase of my masters as it was announced to the world. All I could think about was the incessant manipulative bullying I've received at his hands for years. Like when Kim Kardashian orchestrated an illegally recorded snippet of a phone call to be leaked and then Scooter got his 2 clients together to bully me online about it. See photo. Or when his client, Kanye West, organized a revenge porn music video which strips my body naked. Now Scooter has stripped me of my life's work that I wasn't given an opportunity to buy. Essentially, my musical legacy is about to lie in the hands of someone who tried to dismantle it. This is my worst case scenario. This is what happens when you sign a deal at 15 to someone for whom the term loyalty is clearly just a contractual concept. And when that man says music has value, he means its value is beholden to men who had no part in creating it. When I left my masters in Scott's hands, I made peace with the fact that eventually he would sell them. Never in my worst nightmares did I imagine the buyer would be Scooter. Anytime Scott Borchetta has heard the words Scooter Braun escape my lips, it was when I was either crying or trying not to. He knew what he was doing. They both did. Controlling a woman who didn't want to be associated with them. In perpetuity. That means forever. Thankfully, I am now signed to a label that believes I should own anything I create. Thankfully, I left my past in Scott's hands and not my future. And hopefully, young artists or kids with musical dreams will read this and learn about how to better protect themselves in a negotiation. You deserve to own the art you make. I will always be proud of my past work, but for a healthier option, Lover will be out August 23rd. Sad and grossed out, Taylor. End quote. In her press leading up to the release of Lover, Swift touched on the possibility of going back and re-recording her first 6 albums. Speaking to Robin Roberts of Good Morning America about the situation, saying,
one thing about this album that's really special to me is that it's the first one that I will own of my work. Which is a concept that they're very supportive of.
Right. I was going to wait to ask you about that, but since you went there, this is something that is very important to you, and you've also said that you're planning on re-recording some of your music. Is that true? Wait a minute. Are you going to do that?
Yeah, that's true, and it's something that I'm very excited about doing because my contract says that starting November 2020, so next year, I can record albums 1 through 5 all over again. So,
and you'll do that.
I'm very excited about it because.
Why is this so important to you?
Because I think that artists deserve to own their work. I just feel very passionately about that.
Yeah. And you can see that they do as well. So you'll be doing that soon. So soon we'll be doing the re-recording.
Yeah, it's next year. It's right around the corner. I'm going to be busy. I'm really excited.
On November 14th, 2019, Swift once again took to Tumblr to address the situation regarding her records with Big Machine in a post titled, "Don't Know What Else to Do." She wrote, quote, "Guys, it's been announced recently that the American Music Awards will be honoring me with the Artist of the Decade award at this year's ceremony. I've been planning to perform a medley of my hits throughout the decade on the show. Scott Borchetta and Scooter Braun have now said that I'm not allowed to perform my old songs on television because they claim that would be re-recording my music before I'm allowed to next year. Additionally, and this isn't the way I had planned on telling you this news, Netflix has created a documentary about my life for the past few years. Scott and Scooter have declined the use of my older music or performance footage for this project, even though there is no mention of either of them or Big Machine Records anywhere in the film. Scott Borchetta told my team that they'll allow me to use my music only if I do these things. If I agree to not re-record copycat versions of my songs next year, which is something I'm both legally allowed to do and looking forward to, and also told my team that I need to stop talking about him and Scooter Braun. I feel very strongly that sharing what is happening to me could change the awareness level for other artists and potentially help them avoid a similar fate. The message being sent to me is very clear. Basically, be a good little girl and shut up, or you'll be punished. This is wrong. Neither of these men had a hand in the writing of those songs. They did nothing to create the relationship I have with my fans. So this is where I'm asking for your help. Please let Scott Borchetta and Scooter Braun know how you feel about this. Scooter also manages several artists who I really believe care about other artists and their work. Please ask them for help with this. I'm hoping that maybe they can talk some sense into the men who are exercising tyrannical control over someone who just wants to play the music she wrote. I'm especially asking for help from the Carlyle Group, who put up money for the sale of my music to these two men. I just want to be able to perform my own music. That's it. I've tried to work this out privately through my team, but have not been able to resolve anything. Right now, my performance at the AMAs, the Netflix documentary, and any other recorded events I am planning to play until November of 2020 are a question mark. I love you guys, and I thought you should know what's been going on. Taylor. End quote. Fans quickly took to social media to make both men aware of how they felt about this news, which resulted in Swift performing a medley at the AMAs and her songs and clips from over the years being included in her documentary. Swift started her Artist of the Decade performance with her song, The Man, wearing a white shirt reminiscent of prison garb with the titles of her first 6 albums scattered across it in black, sending a clear message to both Borchetta and Braun. On February 6, 2020, Swift announced that she had signed with Universal Music Publishing. She wrote, quote, I'm proud to extend my partnership with Lucian Grange and the Universal Music family by signing with Universal Music Publishing Group, and for the opportunity to work with Jody Gerson, the first woman to run a major music publishing company. Jody is an advocate for women's empowerment and one of the most respected and accomplished industry leaders. Troy Tomlinson has been an amazing part of my team for over half my life and a passionate torchbearer for songwriters. It's an honor to get to work with such an incredible team, especially when it comes to my favorite thing in the world, songwriting. End quote. This move continued to highlight her dedication to the craft of songwriting and ensuring that songwriters are recognized and compensated for their work. On April 23, 2020, Swift took to her Instagram stories, writing, quote, Hey guys, I wanted to thank my fans for making me aware that my former record label is putting out an album of live performances of mine tonight. This recording is from a 2008 radio show performance I did when I was 18. Big Machine has listed the date as a 2017 release, but they're actually releasing it tonight at midnight. I'm always honest with you guys about this stuff, so I just wanted to tell you that this release is not approved by me. It looks like Scooter Braun and his financial backers, 23 Capital, Alex Soros, and the Carlyle Group, have seen the latest balance sheets and realized that paying $330 million for my music wasn't exactly a wise choice and they need money. In my opinion, just another case of shameless greed in the time of coronavirus. So tasteless, but very transparent. End quote. Fans were quick to avoid this new music, meaning that the EP was released without any fanfare surrounding it, and it failed to generate the interest and hype that typically comes with a release associated with Swift and her music. On November 16, 2020, Swift's catalog was sold once again without her knowledge. She took to Twitter writing, quote, Been getting a lot of questions about the recent sale of my old masters. I hope this clears things up. End quote. Attached were a letter from Swift herself and a letter she had sent to the company that recently acquired her work. Quote, I wanted to check in and update you guys. As you know, for the past year, I've been actively trying to regain ownership of my master recordings. With that goal in mind, my team attempted to enter into negotiations with Scooter Braun. Scooter's team wanted me to sign an ironclad NDA stating I would never say another word about Scooter Braun unless it was positive, before we could even look at the financial records of Big Machine Label Group, which is always the first step in a purchase of this nature. So, I would have to sign a document that would silence me forever before I could even have a chance to bid on my own work. My legal team said that this is absolutely not normal, and they've never seen an NDA like this presented unless it was to silence an assault accuser by paying them off. He would never even quote my team a price. These master recordings were not for sale to me. A few weeks ago, my team received a letter from a private equity company called Shamrock Holdings letting us know that they had bought 100% of my music, videos, and album art from Scooter Braun. This was the second time my music had been sold without my knowledge. The letter told me that they wanted to reach out before the sale to let me know, but that Scooter Braun had required that they make no contact with me or my team, or the deal would be off. As soon as we started communication with Shamrock, I learned that under their terms, Scooter Braun will continue to profit off my old musical catalog for many years. I was hopeful and open to the possibility of a partnership with Shamrock, but Scooter's participation is a non-starter for me. I have recently begun re-recording my older music, and it has already proven to be both exciting and creatively fulfilling. I have plenty of surprises in store. I want to thank you guys for supporting me through this ongoing saga, and I can't wait for you to hear what I've been dreaming up. I love you guys, and I'm just going to keep cruising, as they say. Taylor. P.S. For transparency and clarification, I've included the letter of response I sent on October 28, 2020 to the private equity group who purchased my music. End quote. The letter she wrote in response to Shamrock reads as follows, quote, "Thank you so very much for your letter. Upon reading your kind words, I was thrilled with the idea of working with people who value art and understand how much my life's work means to me. I immediately began to plan all the ways we could work together on expanding and protecting my music while maximizing the outcomes for all involved, especially my fans. So regardless of the fact that it was the second time my masters have been sold without my knowledge while I was actively trying to purchase them, your letter brought me a great deal of hope for my musical legacy and our possible future together. This is why I was so disappointed when I learned that under the terms of your acquisition, Scooter Braun and Ithaca Holdings would continue to receive many years of future financial reward from my music masters, music videos, and album artwork. If I support you, as you request, I will be contributing to these future payments to Scooter Braun and Ithaca Holdings. I simply cannot in good conscience bring myself to be involved in benefiting Scooter Braun's interests directly or indirectly. As a result, I cannot currently entertain being partners with you. It's a shame to know that I will now be unable to help grow the future of these past works, and it pains me very deeply to remain separated from the music I spent over a decade creating. But this is a sacrifice I will have to make to keep Scooter Braun out of my life. I'm very sorry he has put you in this position. I wish this could have had a better outcome, and please do let me know if your firm is ever completely independent from Scooter Braun and his associates. I feel the need to be very transparent with you. I will be going forward with my original re-recording schedule and will be embarking on that effort soon. I know this will diminish the value of my old masters, but I hope you will understand that this is my only way of regaining the sense of pride I once had when hearing songs from my first 6 albums, and also allowing my fans to listen to those albums without feelings of guilt for benefiting Scooter." End quote. The Taylor's Versions era. It wasn't long after that, fans got to hear what the re-recordings would sound like. On December 2nd, 2020, Swift tweeted, quote, "Okay, so while my new re-records are not done, my friend Ryan Reynolds asked me if he could use a snippet of one for a lolsome commercial he wrote. So here's a sneak peek of Love Story. Working hard to get the music to you soon." End quote. This simple snippet helped get fans in a frenzy and eager for what the rest of the songs would sound like. On February 11th, 2021, Swift announced that her version of Love Story would be releasing that night at midnight, and that Fearless, Taylor's version, was on the way with 26 songs and 6 new, never-before-released songs from the vault. To help get fans even more excited, though she didn't need to do much, Swift dropped a video on April 2nd for fans to decode the titles of the vault tracks. The next day, she shared the track listing for the album after fans decoded the titles in less than a half hour. Swift's first re-recording was released on April 9th, 2021. It quickly topped the charts, becoming the biggest first week for a country album in the last 6 years, top release of the year at the time, and it landed at the #1 spot on Billboard's album chart. The news regarding the next re-recording came in June. On June 18th, Swift took to social media to let fans know that Red, Taylor's version, would be releasing on November 19th with all of the 30 songs originally intended for the album on it, including the long-awaited 10-minute version of All Too Well. Swift released a similar vault video to that of Fearless Taylor's versions on August 5th. This one took a little more time to crack, because as fans found out, she had created a word search for them to find the track titles and collaborators. Then a few hours later, Swift let fans know, quote, "Your next clue will be in the spot where you hear Red," end quote, leading fans to listen to tracks where the word Red appeared, and the canvases for those tracks on Spotify were changed to lead fans to Swift's site for them to input and confirm the track titles and collaborations. When fans unlocked it, a little photo filter appeared that read, "I unlocked the vault." In a bit of all this Red-heavy focus, Swift dropped Wildest Dreams Taylor's version on September 17th, after the song started to trend on TikTok. On September 30th, Swift announced that her version of Red would be releasing 1 week earlier on November 12th, and hinted at something with her choice of emojis, which were a scarf, heart eyes, and 2 film cameras. On November 5th, Swift unveiled a teaser for All Too Well, the short film, starring Sadie Sink, Dylan O'Brien, and Swift. In addition to starring in the short, she also wrote and directed it. The short was released on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern on the 12th and was showing for the week at AMC 13 Theater in New York. Swift did appear at one of these showings where she handpicked fans and played the track. The album broke the Spotify record for most streamed album in a day by a female artist and most streamed female artist in a day in the platform's history. On November 15th, Swift released a music video for the vault track, I Bet You Think About Me, that was directed by her friend Blake Lively. On November 22nd, her version of All Too Well topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart, becoming the longest #1 hit of all time. Similar to the Wildest Dreams Taylor's version release, Swift released This Love, Taylor's version, to go along with the release of the trailer for the series The Summer I Turned Pretty on May 6, 2022. This drop got fans all geared up for a 1989 Taylor's version announcement, but Swift caught fans off guard at the VMAs when she announced that her 10th studio album, Midnights, would be releasing in the fall. The next news of the re-recordings didn't come until the next year, not long after Swift embarked on the Eras Tour. On May 1st, 2023, fans began to speculate that something related to her version of Speak Now was coming after she ended her tour post for Atlanta with "Love you, hey Nashville, you're next," and capping it off with a purple heart emoji. The use of 3 O's and U's in the words love and you sent fans into a tizzy. Fans went into an absolute frenzy when during the first Nashville show on May 5th, when wristbands started to flash purple 3 times. During Surprise Song O'Clock, Swift unveiled the cover for her version of Speak Now and its release date, July 7th, before launching into a performance of Sparks Fly. There was no little vault puzzle for fans to unscramble for this re-recording, since someone leaked a picture of the back cover of the vinyl online. Instead, Swift posted the track list on June 5th, revealing 6 new vault tracks. When the album arrived, Swift was playing shows in Kansas City and chose to premiere a music video for the vault track I Can See You during the first concert and even brought out her co-stars on stage to celebrate. Upon its release, it became Spotify's most streamed album in a single day in 2023 and broke the record for most streamed country album in a single day in the platform's history. A few months later, fans began to anticipate an announcement of 1989 Taylor's version at the final LA Era show on August 9th, since she had added a handful of stops at the venue but suspiciously left the last one on 8/9, and since only one song off the album remained as an unplayed surprise song. As the show went on, Swift started to appear in new blue outfits that only built fans' excitement, and when Surprise Song O'Clock rolled around, she did indeed announce the album cover and release date for her version of the album. On September 19th, she dropped a vault video that led fans on a massive Google search, with fans looking up things and solving puzzles related to the original 1989 era, with 89 puzzles for fans to solve. In order to unlock the vault, a total of 33 million puzzles had to be solved globally. The next day, the vault was unlocked and revealed the 5 titles of the unheard songs. The album was released on October 27th, 2023. Swift became Spotify's most streamed artist in a single day in the platform's history, and her version of 1989 became the most streamed album in a single day for the year. In an impressive feat, her version of the album actually sold more copies than the original in its first week. In 2024, fans thought Swift was set to announce her version of Reputation at the Grammy Awards after she added a black and white filter to her profile pictures on social media. Instead, Swift surprised fans by announcing her newest studio album, The Tortured Poets Department, at the awards show. The album was released on April 19, 2024, and Swift continued on her massively successful Eras Tour. Throughout the tour's run, fans frequently speculated an announcement of the re-recording on the tour, though that never came to fruition. More recently, fans expected an announcement at the American Music Awards after her website spelled out the abbreviation AMAs, and a snippet of her version of Look What You Made Me Do appeared in an episode of The Handmaid's Tale. The show came and went with no announcement from Swift. Over the past few years, there have been countless theories about when Reputation Taylor's version would be released, and it has been the one that fans have been the loudest about hearing. With these releases, Swift was proving that her choice to re-record to be a successful one. In solidarity with Swift, many fans chose not to listen to Swift's first 6 albums, streaming, and purchasing only the music that she owned. With every Taylor's version released, the interest and success grew larger than the previous one. The next time fans heard from Swift, fans were shocked by what she had to share. Swift's sweet news. On the morning of May 30th, Swift posted across all her social media platforms 4 photos of her with copies of her first 6 albums captioned with, quote, "You belong with me, letter on my site," end quote. The letter on her site reads as follows, quote, "Hi. I'm trying to gather my thoughts into something coherent, but right now my mind is just a slideshow. A flashback sequence of all the times I daydreamed about, wished for, and pined away for a chance to get to tell you this news. All the times I was this close, reaching out for it, only for it to fall through. I almost stopped thinking it could ever happen after 20 years of having the carrot dangled and then yanked away. But that's all in the past now. I've been bursting into tears of joy at random intervals ever since I found out that this is really happening. I really get to say these words. All of the music I've ever made now belongs to me. And all my music videos, all the concert films, the album art and photography, the unreleased songs, the memories, the magic, the madness, every single era, my entire life's work. To say this is my greatest dream come true is actually being pretty reserved about it. To my fans, you know how important this has been to me. So much so that I meticulously re-recorded and released 4 of my albums, calling them Taylor's version. The passionate support you showed those albums and the success story you turned the Eras Tour into is why I was able to buy back my music. I can't thank you enough for helping to reunite me with this art that I have dedicated my life to, but have never owned until now. All I've ever wanted was the opportunity to work hard enough to be able to one day purchase my music outright with no strings attached, no partnership, with full autonomy. I will be forever grateful to everyone at Shamrock Capital for being the first people to ever offer this to me. The way they've handled every single interaction we've had has been honest, fair, and respectful. This was a business deal to them, but it really felt like they saw it for what it was to me. My memories and my sweat and my handwriting and my decades of dreams. I am endlessly thankful. My first tattoo might just be a huge shamrock in the middle of my forehead. I know. What about Rep TV? Full transparency, I haven't even re-recorded a quarter of it. The Reputation album was so specific to that time in my life, and I kept hitting a stopping point when I tried to remake it. All that defiance, that longing to be understood while feeling purposely misunderstood, that desperate hope, that shame-born snarl and mischief. To be perfectly honest, it's the one album in those first 6 that I thought couldn't be improved upon by redoing it. Not the music or photos or videos. So I kept putting it off. There will be a time, if you're into the idea, for the unreleased vault tracks from that album to hatch. I've already completely re-recorded my entire debut album, and I really love how it sounds now. Those 2 albums can still have their moments to re-emerge when the time is right, if that would be something you guys would be excited about. But if it happens, it won't be from a place of sadness and longing for what I wish I could have. It will just be a celebration now. I'm extremely heartened by the conversations this saga has reignited within my industry among artists and fans. Every time a new artist tells me they negotiated to own their master recordings in their record contract because of this fight, I'm reminded of how important it was for all of this to happen. Thank you for being curious about something that used to be thought of as too industry-centric for broad discussion. You'll never know how much it means to me that you cared. Every single bit of it counted and ended us up here. Thanks to you and your goodwill, teamwork, and encouragement, the best things that have ever been mine finally actually are. Elated and amazed, Taylor." End quote. Fans celebrated the news, diving back into her first 6 albums, so much so that they all started to chart on the iTunes Store, with Reputation at the top spot and her debut album not far below it. I was personally shocked at the news. I truly never thought there would come a day when Swift owned the masters to her first 6 albums. It was something that I wished would happen but didn't actually believe that it would until she posted the news. Not too long ago, reports had come out regarding her back catalog with a possible sale of it on the horizon, encouraged by Braun. Myself and other fans were wary of this news because of what had happened in the past. In a statement to People magazine, Swift's team addressed these recent rumors after her purchase, stating, quote, "Contrary to a previous false report, there was no outside party who encouraged this sale. All rightful credit for this opportunity should go to the partners at Shamrock Capital and Taylor's Nashville-based management team only. Taylor now owns all of her music, and this moment finally happened in spite of Scooter Braun, not because of him." End quote. I have been diving back into these albums recently because, like many fans, I simply chose not to stream the music she didn't own. When a new Taylor's version was released, I would replace it with the original and slide the TVs onto my playlists. If I ever wanted to go back and listen to the first 6 albums, they were always waiting for me in my Apple Music library, but for the most part, I stuck to my playlist with the newly released material. One of the playlists I had made was titled Ethically Sourced Taylor. I had created it in the hopes that one day it would be obsolete because Swift would own all of her work, and I'm so glad that that day has come. So, what now? To me, it seems that Swift will be focusing all of her attention and energy on new creative pursuits. I have a feeling that we'll be getting news related to new music fairly soon. I can't imagine how taxing the process of going back and carefully recreating the old work must have been for her. Even though it started out as a nightmare scenario, some good has come out of it to eventually lead here. For instance, we wouldn't have gotten the 10-minute version of All Too Well or its accompanying short film. Additionally, I don't believe that the Midnight's album or the Eras Tour would have existed had she not had to go back and revisit her older material. It feels very full circle to know that the tour that celebrated all of her releases throughout her career played a crucial role in reuniting her with the original works. I have a hunch that Swift will release her re-recorded version of her first album on its 20th anniversary next year. I do wonder if she'll keep the Taylor's version label, or change it to something along the lines of Reimagined or Special Anniversary Edition. I feel like the chapter on her releasing lots under the Taylor's version umbrella has closed since there's no longer the need to distinguish between the original recordings and the revamped ones she put out to regain some semblance of ownership over those works. For the reputation-sized elephant in the room, I'm not in any way bummed out that there won't be a dedicated Taylor's version of it. Seeing as it is one of my favorite albums in the era when I first saw her live and immersed myself in the fandom, the recreation of it through the re-recording would never have been able to live up to the magic of the era the first time around. I do feel that she will release the tracks that were intended to make up the vault for it though, sharing them as an EP or possibly sticking them on the album if and when she reissues it. I wouldn't be surprised if she re-released the original 6 albums under Republic Records and added some extra goodies onto them. I could see her potentially releasing a box set of the first 6 albums marketed as a collector's item. I personally am hoping for a pressing of Reputation that is not on a picture disc, and that I can actually listen to on my record player. I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up releasing live albums and concert films like she did in 2011 with the Speak Now tour. I have a feeling that a documentary of some kind is in the works. Many had wondered if she was going to release one focused on the making of the Taylor's versions, but now I believe it could have a broader focus on the period of her life since her last documentary, and capture the creation and release of new original works, the re-recording process, the Eras Tour, and then finally gaining ownership over those first 6 albums. Whatever Swift has planned, whether it be brand new music or something related to those first 6 albums in her discography, I am ready to welcome it with open arms. Swifties have truly lived several lifetimes since that infamous last day in June 2019 when news of the sale of her masters broke. Since then, Swift has released 5 original albums, a documentary, a concert film, and 4 re-recordings. Though I imagine that this process of going back and reclaiming her work was both fulfilling and heartbreaking at times, it has been worth it in the end since it has finally given her control over her works, which was the entire point of the re-recording process. Swift has taken the time to make this process a fun one for the fans and herself, working with new collaborators and introducing new audiences to her works and creating new memories to coexist alongside the ones from the original eras. This chapter in Swift's career has certainly been a memorable one, and I am excited for what the future holds for her and her creative endeavors. Thank you for listening to this episode of Swiftlet. This episode was written and edited by me, Peyton Edwards. I hope you enjoyed listening, and if you did, please rate, review, and share this podcast. You know, all of that good stuff. You can connect with me on Instagram and the site formerly known as Twitter @SwiftletPodcast.